Hello.
Nebudete vypínať mikrofón.
Ani z kabinetu, pri stoličku.
Vieš čo, je to také akčné, nechodom. O čom je tá bicyklová trasa? Dobré ráno. Je o bicyklovej trase.
Ty jsi tam dal otázník.
Jaj.
A ja kúkam, že...
Peter poušiel znamienka, asi by môžem to používať.
Neviem, ale či dneska Janka by to asi mala byť. Ja neviem.
Áno, ja som si to dozvedela, som ale nevedela, čo som ti volala.
Máš tiež rúdol prehľadku. Úplne nefunguje. Chcem sa spýť. To dám neklikať. To nehnať príliš. To je tento. No to neviem nič. Ale je to asi.
Ja tam preklikám.
Lebo začal nejako chodiť, ešte počkám.
K tomuto má kto?
Ani nevieme, že jak to chceme, lebo no zvlášť, že tuto tá prehliadka a potom...
Opýtajte sa, lebo
Pán profesor?
Áno, ty to môžeš ukázať.
Takže tá prehliadka, ja keď to púšťam, tak mi to dá mi to na prvú fotku.
Áno.
Potom, keď no next mi nefunguje, viem... Ale dá sa priklikávať teda aj tu manuálne, alebo tam chodiť a klikať, ale...
Lebo to je také, že chodíš nejak s tými nožkami.
Čiže ona ťa to pustila na dve? Hej, akože viem tu chodiť a manuálne sa teda klikať, ale guided. Mne to ani doma nešlo, neviem.
Tam bude treba niečo zakliknúť, že automaticky, alebo čo?
Skúsim sa prihlásiť na ten môj a skúsim to pozrieť. Okay. To je Habsburgovcov erb. To je Habsburgovcov erb. Počkaj, tak ma pustí, ja sa tam skúsim prihlásiť do toho. Do mňa teda. Janka, ja nemôžem ťa odhlasiť? Nemôžem, že?
Tak tam je...
Nie, lebo už sme na meetingu.
Niekto mi požičal.
Ja môžeš.
Poď. Môžeš tak? Tak?
Úvodné miesto.
Jedno z tých 5 bude.
To nemáš to video, tuším, na tom šaštím.
Ja.
A ide, dobre. Nezahodníme zapnúť potom ten zvuk. Môže sa byť.
Cože na tým? Nie.
Ja myslím, že hovoril, že nemáme žiadne písmenky.
Teraz mám prednášku v tej prezentácii. Lebo keby som prešla. Ja som vstupnila na biológiu.
Máte ďalšie?
Taký 8 smerov po anglicky. Crossword? To je také, že blablabla. So, že today we're gonna show you bike routes, potom lectures about Holy Scripture.
Najprv ideme tie bike veci.
A potom ty povedz, že and some activities a potom evaluation, alebo neviem, čo to je za blbosť. Čo? Odkedy si nepočula? Ja som to počula, ale ja som to nepochopila. Že, alebo chceš to ty uviesť?
A tu je Malacky.
Viem, jak sa uvádzam viac ako 3 vetách. Počkej, 8 smerov sa. Crossword. Cross čo? Word. Crossword.
Je to nefungovalo rád.
Šašti.
Prehľad prvý.
Vyhodnotenie. Ja som si to dala do prekladača, že
Rajde.
evaluation a tam bolo, že give us feedback alebo tak niečo, neviem, čo to je.
Neviem. Neviem, kto je Viktor Hosel?
To je po tretiakov. On myslí, že Sočku robil takúto, že s tými nejakými geografickými systémami a tak.
Čo je tá flashcard? Čo je tá flashcard v tom vyhodnotení?
To je, že máš kartičko, na jednej strane už napísané šatko, no šašty nie, šatol a na druhé máš zámok. Teda to chápem.
Tu sú nejaké
flashcards, hej.
Tie jazyky všetky.
Ale nerozumiem, no, že jak to bude niečo s tým, vieme?
Ja som pochopil, že vám ukážeme, že to je výstup. Asi včera sa robilo alebo niečo také, že si prekladali.
Ja som bol, včera mi robili ten, vy ste tu neboli včera, boli?
Boli.
Včera boli ten slovný, že oni písali preklady tých slov vlastne.
To len, že vám ukázať,
Takže to vlastne len toto je výstup, že output. Hej, to čo vytvorili včera v rámci toho slovníka prekladového.
Aj toto je to asi aj ďalšia taková.
To je výstup toho prvého dňa, čo písať tie slova, ktoré si spájajú. Máte sa so Slovenskom, ale nie.
To mi smajlik, to som si nečiel. A Borcer, tak tam pošlem link a tam proste
Slovakia.
tam nevidím nič.
To všetko dnes prezentujem. Viem, že tu toho dáme s papierami, to budú určite.
My by sme ešte mohli dávať šiadenie, ale
Znáte čo? Holič. Ani?
dávať šiadenie.
Tu sú nejaké témy asi, čo dnes.
Ha? Dávať čo?
Zase to nejsú obrazy.
No tam nie.
Aj musíte to povedať.
Ľudia nechodia teraz.
To tam bol ráno s tým
A Matúš, ty prezentuješ niečo? Či
No ja mám Kartonku.
Okay.
Ja mám
A to cez nejde.
majoliku.
Ja neviem, či to není tým prehľadom, lebo tu mi napríklad to nejde už vôbec.
Okay.
Aha.
Ale všetko tu je nahraté, naplánované, čo sa pozrieť na tušky. No vlastne tam tu spravené. Tak to je vlastne popis.
Ale ako tak vedela, tiež nie je
Keď tam, že...
Dá sa klikať aj do tej.
Arca.
Keď ešte raz, tak už to nejde. Medzi tým boli sa dobre klikať týmto štýlom.
Povedz. Ty prvé dva body, potom ja poviem, že a po prestávke. Mám to aj uviesť teda? No uvedieš, povieš prvé dva body a povieš, no a po prestávke tam je normálne. Ako si to uvádzala? Ako to uvádzala ona Hosíkorová? Takže si napísala celý skript, čo bude hovoriť. Pravda, to čítala. Áno, tak, okay, so welcome back. Nebo takže day 2 of today.
Tak mi napíš.
You are very clever.
Alebo ja ti napíšem.
Môžem povedať, že last day, alebo to není ešte? Povedz. To mi radšej nenechne.
A ne, nemusíš, že to necháda, alebo nevzali, len že tam sú tie výsledky.
Keď sa medzi tým posúvaš, klikneš, tak je tam aj
Zajtra budú fotky tak už. Či bolo zle? Ale na to budeš šťastná, keď to no, tak budeš šťastná, keď ma nevezmu. To vyskočím, aj keď ma nevezmu, tak...
Ja keď to verifikáme, tak sa bude zdieľať aj ten systémový spôsob. Dá sa to na to?
Určite, keď to...
Dobre?
Ale nevieme, kto nám povie, že či to počujú.
Ja môžem ísť von, pripojiť.
Tak skús. Akceptovať musíš. Musíš akceptovať.
Ale musím najprv toto, aby to išlo akceptovať.
Vyhračuje. Musíš skúsiť zistiť tú ukážku, že či je... Nepočujú.
Ešte nám praje Rodika.
Čo píše?
Hi everybody. Hello. Nice. Tady máme niekde taká kolónka, že zahrnúť systémový zvuk počítača, teda aspoň na tým.
A skús to.
Čiže zdieľať zvuk?
Mala.
Počkať, ja som to nezdieľal.
Aha.
No tak v podstate vy tam nemusíte mať ten zvuk, keď budú počuť do toho.
My im môžeme poslať ten link na tú virtuálnu... A oni... Dobre. Čiže nezabudneme zazdieľať zvuk.
Dobre, tak to už budeš situáciu už inak.
Nevadí.
Lebo on sa zdá, že v niektorém prehliadači to, v nejakej novšej verzii prehliadaču to ide, v niektorej nie.
Išlo to.
Dobre, super.
A budú teda prezentovať počas tejto prehľadky, že sa pustí trocha toho zvuku, toho, čo tu je nahraté a potom povedia tí ľudia o tom?
Nie, to je, pošleme im link, že sme také vyrobili a poviete, že toto sme vyrobili, môžete si pozrieť, dáme im 10-15 minút, poklikajú si, popočúvajú.
Dobre, tak im môžem vysvetliť, že ak sa tam ovláda.
Ale nemáme to zahrnuté, kedy to dáme.
To je na konci v tom, tej web stránke úplne, tak po všetkým.
Dobre, tak dáme, že tu bude také zhrnutie.
Sorry, by som ti nedal kopačku.
To sa dá. Ale ja som tu stal. Ja to hostujem, ten meeting.
Sa vám neušiel tablet?
O nie.
A ja mám také isté.
Áno.
Je do lesy.
Dneska môžeme dať notebook?
No. Ktoré nemyslím, čo sa dá. Podľa mňa, že aby sa to automaticky dalo pripojiť, ale to neviem.
Ja.
Ale keby ste to chceli cvičiť, tak bude poďte na to niekam.
Kamery myslím si, že sú
Ja, že mi to im písala.
Nám by to nepísal.
Môžu si to precvičiť náhľad do kabinetu?
A môžete asi do labaku až, aby nás nebolo čo.
Áno, až vedľa dolu.
Tu prejdite cez kabinet, lebo dvere sú zatvorené.
Budú to teda na kamere prezentovať, alebo?
Áno, dáme ich na kameru, ne?
Ale tak tam je obrázky, či? No, však...
A čo budú prezentovať?
Oni majú
Holí. Tak bude sa prezentovať. Ale kamera aj tak je na boku.
Akože dá sa to, že aj prezentáciu, prezentáciu?
Kamera je vždy tak v rožku hore, trošku. Je vidno tých ľudí.
Ale aby bola hlavná tá prezentácia.
Prezentácia bude a oni budú niekde v rožku. Však potom vás sa vymeníte, dobre? Moderátorky. Ich pustíte, oni tu budú sedieť, na vás je to také centrované.
A ja keď mám potom tú kartonku, ja to ako neviem z hlavy. Ako to mám prezentovať?
Tak prečítate tam, čo je napísané. Nemusíte celé, lebo je toho tam celkom dosť. Ale ja som nevedela z angličtiny, ktoré môžem vymazať. Tak niečo poviete, niektorú vetu preskočíte. Dobre, tak 26. A ja sa pripojím, nech tam mám. A nie, ja sa už nemôžem. No. A tak už dnes posledný deň, už to vydržíme, nie?
Kedy to asi dáte tie certifikáty? Kedy to má ísť?
Čo?
Kedy má ísť, aby to tie certifikáty?
Dnes od streda, štvrtok, piatok. A dnes ho treba akože vydať. Hello. Dobrý. Počujú nás.
To budem hovoriť a počas toho budem asi prepnutý na tých mapách, tak aby som to mohol čítať. No. Ja som zazdielam najprv túto kartu a potom prepnem sem a tam sa dá zmeniť vzdelanie na
Reálne vyhľadám.
tak, čo mi práve kričovať sám, jak prepínať.
Hľadám, že Haura.
Len prečítam počas toho statistiky a potom ďalšie.
How to uviesť niečo.
Dobre.
Kam sa dám?
To ja neviem.
Pavla hlaveška, je tam u mňa. Good morning.
Však aj tam je si.
Ušlo mi. Domov poslala, skoro. Keby dáš, že spojkovaný. Ale mňa by sa to ujelo, mi to ujelo to. Čo tomu?
Babi, niečo hovorte, opýtajte sa ten zvuk. Teraz začneme.
Hello, can you see us and can you hear us?
So I guess this should be everyone in this meeting already. So I think we can start. Poď sem, alebo tam.
Okay, so hello everybody. Welcome to our last day of virtual mobility in Slovakia. Today we are going to take a walk through history. So it's going to be like a small time machine, and we can show you some beautiful places that we have in our region. We hope that you will enjoy it and you will enjoy the activities that our students have prepared for you.
Okay, so we're gonna tell the program now. First thing, we're gonna show you an interesting bike route, and then there's gonna be a lecture about Holič and Kopčany.
And then after a break, there's going to be a lecture about Šaštín and some kind of conclusion of what you heard as a virtual tour through a gallery where you can walk there and click and read whatever you want yourself. And there's going to be a little activity as a crossword, and at the closure you have flashcards as some kind of outcome from yesterday's activities and a questionnaire about what you liked and what you didn't like. So I guess we can start, and the first activity is the bike route. Can you see our screen? Good.
So hello everyone, I will now present you 4 different bike routes that we have prepared. Here you can see the first route. It's from Malacky to Bratislava. It's the easier version. It's about 55 kilometers long, and it will take you about 3.5 hours. And the elevation gain and elevation loss is about 250 meters. Now we are going to take a closer look. Here on this webpage, we can see the exact route. So we are going to go through Malacky, then through a village called Plavecký štvrtok, Pláb, Zohor, and via Devínska Nová Ves, Devín, and we are going to end in Bratislava, Staré mesto, namely because in Bratislava the coronation that you could hear about yesterday happened.
Už možno ja niečo povedať? So this route is very interesting because it used to be a part of Iron Curtain, which was like a border between Austria or the Western world and the communist world. So now for us it's very important that we can get close to the river because it wasn't possible some 30 years ago. So it has also historical significance for us.
Okay, now here we can see the second route. It's the more difficult route from Malacky to Bratislava. It's a bit shorter, but there is much more elevation gain and elevation loss. Here we can see it in detail. It's quite similar, however, we go through Stupava and then we go to Bratislava from a different angle. Again, we end in Bratislava, Staré mesto.
What is a bit more difficult about the route is maybe that it crosses the Little Carpathians, so you should be prepared for some mountain biking as well, but you can also go through the vineyards of Slovakia, especially the Bratislava region of Rača, which is popular for wine making.
This is the third route. It's again a bit longer than the previous ones. It's about 60 kilometers long. It takes about a similar time, 3.5 hours, and the surface is pretty flat, so there isn't much elevation gain or elevation loss.
And what is interesting about this route is that you get to the point where the three countries, the Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Austria meet. So, like, at one point you can stand with your feet in three countries. And there is also a bridge which connects Czech Republic with Slovakia and also a bridge which connects Austria with Slovakia.
And now the final route, it's from Malacky to Šašní Stráže and to Bely. It's about 45 kilometers long. It takes about 3 hours, and there is more elevation gain and loss than in the previous one, about 300 meters.
And the road is more mountainous, so you will cross fields, colorful fields of Záhorská nížina, and you will arrive and see the historical buildings and Basilica of Šaštín Stráže and Kopčany.
It's famous because some petroleum was found there in the last century.
So that's the end of the 4 different routes across our region Záhorie. So you could see it goes through different cities, and we will present you something about the cities in a second. So first of all is Kopčany.
Nech jdu sem, dobré.
A já ho dovolíš?
prezentovať.
Holič máš prvý, holič máš. Ja neviem.
Okay, so we're not gonna do kopčany, we're gonna do holič first.
Holič, ty chlapec.
Okay, so Castle in Holič is located near the Morava River and on the western outskirts of Holič in the district of Skalica. The castle has been mentioned in written sources since 1256 under the name Weaver as the New Castle. He was also known as the medieval lowland barber castle, was rebuilt in the Renaissance in a Baroque style over several countries.
At the beginning of the 13th century, King Andrew II for a short time endowed the lands of the nobleman came in. When the surrounding area was occupied by Matúščák Trenčiansky, the castle became the base of his military attacks against Moravian area. At that time, the castle was surrounded by moats. Nevertheless, after Matúš's death, the castle was occupied by the Czech garrison in 1332.
When the castle became Hungarian property again, it remained under the administration of the royal castellans until the end of the 14th century. During this time, the castle was significantly rebuilt.
At the end of the 13th century, the castle was acquired from Zsigmond of Luxembourg by Stibor of Stiborovice, and then until 1489, it was the property of the Schlick family. From 1489, the castle was in the hands of the Coburgs. Built the castle into four-winged Renaissance castle. In 1627, Holič was conquered by Gabriel Bethlen's troops, and the Turks also fought for it.
He also acquired a bastion fortification in the 16th and 17th centuries. At the beginning of the 18th century, castle belonged to the Coburg dynasty. Due to the inherited debts of the Josef Coburg, he had to give up the castle, and after that, he sold it in 1736 to Francis Stephen I Lorraine, husband of Maria Theresia.
Maria and Stephen first built manufactories that led to the development of the city. Maria Theresia also rebuilt the castle from its fortress into summer castle of the Habsburgs. Holič, once thriving Jewish community, was completely decimated by the Holocaust.
Since Francis Stephen I Lorraine was rich enough to afford a more expensive reconstruction of the castle, he rebuilt the castle according to the taste of time. The castle has retained its military character and added a star-shaped fortification.
As a result, the castle lost the entire eastern wing, which replaced the three-wing courtyard. The castle had a tree-lined alley that led through a baroque gate from the city center to Kopčany, an honorary courtyard and entrance hall. The castle became a refuge in 1805 during Napoleonic Wars. In 1908, the castle, except the first floor, attained the central directorate of the private property of the emperor's family. The building served as military riding school in Vienna. The castle survived the First World War without greater injury. The castle survived this time with damage for the government commissioned only Chinese hall. In 1918, castle passed into the hands of the Czechoslovak state. A school was set up in the main building, and adjacent buildings and the park were used for agricultural purposes. In 1970, the manor house was declared a cultural monument. Since 1974, it has been restored for new social use. Later there were more plans to restore the castle, but none reached end.
When we look at the castle today, we could see that the building of the tobacco factory has been reconstructed. The situation is partly saved by the interior, especially the Chinese Hall, one of the most representative rooms in the castle. Castle exterior. The main east facade is highlighted by the flat risalit. When you're looking at the castle, you can see high striped rustication of prestigious balcony in relief, a rustic plinth with Elysian frames and window ledges. The water from the inner moat was drained and subsequently an ornament garden was created on the side from the basement.
Internal arrangement. The castle has basement space with connecting paths. The basement also led through a so-called salterreno with window pools with an animal motif. The main part of the castle is in the west wing and a member of the entrance hall with a passage, ceremonial staircase and the main representative spaces on the second floor, along with a Chinese hall in the middle. The chapel was built in the north wing, which occupied the two highest floors. It has a rich stucco and painting decoration. The south wing was private space of the royal family.
On the first floor were wooden mosaic parquet floors, wooden wall paneling and door panels with painted rocaille decorations. On the second floor, the decorations on the ceilings and the plant paintings on the walls were stuck. These areas served as guest rooms. The Chinese hall, originally a smoking room, was also the main representative hall of the castle as the most demanding solution. It had a Baroque Rococo style which divided the larger walls into smaller ones with wooden elements.
In the 18th century, the nobility favored Oriental art. This meant that there was either painted wallpaper and painting on the wood in Chinese hall. The author of these images was inspired by Chinese landscape for Ming Dynasty. In the hall there were fireplaces with high mirrors, which were in the 19th century replaced with drawer chests of drawers. The castle had a lot of things that pointed out the rich builder. French-style classicism of the courthouse building office dominated period production at the time of the castle rebuilt.
Okay, so now we are going to hear something more about the tobacco manufacturing.
Okay, so Francis Stephen Lorraine, the husband of Maria Theresa, took over this place in 1746, and as great as this mansion was, its purpose was mostly growing tobacco. They grew it here for like 200 years, and at first they actually thought that it's a medical herb. But even when they discovered that it's actually quite bad for your health, they didn't stop growing it because it was very popular among the rich people to smoke tobacco pipes. There are lots of different types of tobacco pipes. The most simple one were from clay, and the most common ones were from wood, and they were decorated by lots of carvings of people, animals like dogs and goats, and lots of other shapes. And the most special one was made from sea foam mineral, and actually it.
Development of tobacco factory is divided into 4 stages.
The exterior of the buildings is similar. The buildings have got similar windows, a crown latch, an entrance, arcades, the shape of the roof, and the color of the buildings which are used. Inside, however, the buildings are different. There are 2 underground production halls along the entire length of the main wing of tobacco factory, which were accessed by a staircase. From the staircase, it was possible to go down to the underground corridor, which connected the tobacco factory with the underground corridor system of the mainer. 5 corridors led from the main halls to smaller underground warehouses. The north wing consisted of 4 spaces connected to the production hall in the basement. Then came the second construction phase, during which the basement was improved. The third stage came at the turn of the 19th and 20th century and ended during the First Czechoslovak Republic, which was about year 1918. Habsburg property was taken away by the state in the middle of the 20th century, but the tobacco factory continued to be used in its original ways. In the following periods, other changes came. They created a housing unit in the northern building. Then the castle grounds were emptied in the 1960s. The purpose of the tobacco factory in Holič was drying and processing of tobacco from 18th century until the second half of the 20th century. The last, fourth phase, is connected with tobacco, more precisely its growth on the fields in Holič, Kopčany and Kunín, which began in year 1941. Then the kiln in Kopčany began to be used instead of tobacco factory in Holič. In the late 1970s, the tobacco factory began to be repaired. At the turn of the century, they wanted to turn the tobacco factory into a cultural and social center, so further modifications took place. The work was not completed and the factory remained in a damaged condition. Later, it was renovated and repaired again, and in the future, the tobacco factory will serve as a cultural, educational, and congress center.
That's all.
Okay. Thank you. This was really interesting. It's an interesting place. Same with Holič. And now we're gonna give you a lecture about Kopčany.
O France to má byť. To je kde? To je Majolika v Holiči. Sorry, sir, it's gonna be about Majolika in Holič, and then we'll move on to Kopčany. Manufactory for production of faience was founded in Holič by František Štefan Lotrinský. When in 1736 he earned a Holič-Šaštín estate, in headquarters was placed in Vienna. This manufactory originally produced only faience and Majolika. Later it expanded its range with earthenware and porcelain. Ordinary began to be produced due to insufficient demand for faience and became its competitor thanks to its better quality. Faience is a ceramic product made of white or light clay covered with white opaque or semi-transparent lead tint glaze. Majolika is made of red or reddish clay covered with opaque colored glaze. Primal intention of Asian potters was creating an imitation of porcelain, but the name faience originated in Italy town of Faenza, when its production expanded there. In Slovakia, clay was extracted in Holič, Šaštín and their surroundings. The Holič manufactory produced high-quality faience goods in years 1744 to 1827. Labor force consisted mostly of large people. All faience and earthenware products were marked with a hand-painted mark, most often with letter H in the meaning Holič. Assortment of goods was diverse from very small decorative and utilitarian objects which found their application in folk, environmental and middle classes to highly luxurious goods which had its place in the interiors of aristocratic and monarch residences. It reflected period fashion style and partly also the domestic traditions and environment. Typical motifs for dishes were Chinese and floral, especially bouquets of roses and tulips. Products were stepwise adapted to a period in which they were produced: Baroque, Rococo, and Classicism. So now give us us a little time to prepare the next presentation, please.
Horse breeding in Kopčany was founded in 1736 by Francis Stephen, the Duke of Lorraine. He ordered that in 1736 were moved to Kopčany several breeding horses which were imported from Saralbe. After the cancellation of the stud farm in Kladruby nad Labem in 1757, where Spanish-Italian breeding horses from there moved to the stud farm in Kopčany. In 1765, Maria Teresa promoted stud farm in Kopčany to a court imperial and royal stud farm. The breeding was based on stallions of the Spanish pure breed. In 1798, horses from Těšín were also moved to stud in Kopčany. The herd consisted mainly of black and white stallions and mares from Kladruby nad Labem. The area used by this stud farm had an area approximately 400 hectares for 400 horses.
However, the lack of quality stallions at the beginning of the 19th century in Kopčany caused that Emperor Joseph II ordered an importation of English thoroughbreds to Kopčany, the breeding of which began at that time in that place. The first English thoroughbreds were brought to the Imperial and Royal Stud Farm in Kopčany by the head stableman, Prince Franz von Rautmannsdorf. The first horse was imported in 1813. His name was Gimalkina. A year later, in 1814, were both 70 mares and 3 stallions from France and England to Kopčany. Spanish horses were used for dressage and shows on Vienna court. They come from Iberian Peninsula in Spain. These are horses bred since the 15th century, when they were recognized as a separate breeding. They are also called Andalusian horses. Despite of good results, were breeding English thoroughbreds in Kopčany cancelled because of unsatisfactory climatic conditions. After the end of the stud farm, lighter horses were moved to the Lipici stud farm in Slovenia. Heavier horses were again moved to newly renovated stud farm in Kladruby nad Labem. Until the 18th century, it was common in Europe to ride in a heavy type of saddle, which a high pommel and cantle, and it's still used today, for example, in Spanish riding school. At the time when fox hunts were becoming popular in England, the old types of saddle became unsatisfactory because the tail pommel and hind cantle did not give rider enough freedom of movement. For this process was developed a new type of saddle, which differed from the old type mainly by its very low pommel, low cantle, and wide seat. The English saddle, which you can see in a picture, is used in so-called English style of horse riding. Its light construction allows the horse and rider flexibility of movement. They are also smaller and much lighter than Western saddles. For needs of women's riding, a woman's saddle was made which made it possible to ride with both legs on one side of the horse. The first types of women's saddle were made in Europe in 14th century. This wasn't much comfortable because it caused pain in the back in few minutes.
Okay, thank you, and now we are going to talk about chapter.
So Šaštín, as all the other towns we saw, is located in western Slovakia, not far from Malacky. Although its history goes back to the arrival of Saints Cyril and Methodius to our land, which were, if you don't know, two missionaries really important to Slovak history. The first written mention is only from 1204, when it was donated as a part of the land by name Sasin. And its name was changed multiple times in the history, as towns do, but this was originally two towns, and that's why there's a little dash in the name of the Šaštín Stráže. It was an important fortress to protect trade routes at the crossroads of the Danube, Czech and Znojma roads, which were really important crossroads, yes. So there were patrols and guardians, so-called in this area speculators, constantly being sent to guard the roads or report possible danger. So that's where the part of the name Stráže, which means guards, came from. There's a lot of religion-related monuments, as the Šaštín castle was the seat of a lot of representatives of the bishop, and also the deacon and archdeacon, which are high-positioned religious representatives, lived in the castle. And as it was a main guard castle in this area, which its fortification was similar to the Holič castle you saw earlier, it was country rulers' establishment as well. And in 18th century, the land was bought by Francis I, who is, as you already know, Maria Theresa's husband. And now I'm going to talk more about the Basilica of Our Lady of Sorrow. So the construction of the Basilica began in 1736, and the whole building was financed by a collection of normal people, but Maria Theresa contributed financially a big part of it. In 1762, more precisely on 12th August, was the church consecrated with her presence. And Šaštín has an important position in the religion in our country. So one of the first reports on compulsory school attendance, what is Maria Theresa's reform, are related to the Pauline monastery school in Šaštín. And there's Seven Sorrows statue, which in 1564 has Angelika Bakičová, who was wife of one of the landowners, had made. The statue was placed first to a triangular chapel, which you could see in the video. It's like next to the basilica. It's really small, but it is interesting by the 3 walls, not 4. But now it stands at the main altar in the basilica. And before this present appearance of this Šaštín basilica, dead people from many fights or diseases were often buried around the chapel, so there was cemetery. And the number of pilgrims to a few of our religious holidays, as Turice, which is the celebration of the sending of the Holy Spirit, and September 15, on the Feast of Seven Sorrows, ranges from 10 to 50,000 pilgrims. And they're not just from all over the Slovakia, but they're from abroad as well. There are more religious monuments, but I am talking about the Basilica today only.
This was also very interesting.
And now we are going to give you like a virtual tour. It's really cool. You can like walk and see monuments and other really cool stuff. So you can walk through it yourself, and you can look at the pictures, you can click on them and read something about them. You can even play a recording of the text. You can use the arrows on your keyboard to move, or you can use your computer mouse. So you're going to see all the important monuments that we were maybe talking about. So can you get to the link?
Does it work? Can you hear us?
Okay. Tam kliknu na ten link a nech sa tam prekliknu, jim ukážem, kde je.
Thank you for the responses.
Dáme ďalej.
you saw the entire walkthrough through the virtual gallery. You could look back at the things we talked about if it was too quick. And now it's time for a crossword. So we'll send you a link to it. On the right there are words you're supposed to find. It's of course connected to what we talked about. And what is this about? And you just click the start and you have time. So you need to be quick. 5 minutes.
Skúste to kliknúť. Či to vyjde. Je to. Nájdete Slovakia. Tu je Európe. Skúste to.
Inak to nevidia, lebo to potom nevidia.
Máme to byť podprehádzané. Poďme.
Dajte, skúste, že by sme označili. Aby videli, že to tak bude vidno. Ale nechápem, že to každý bude mať vidno.
Asi sa mi, že keď som to reštartoval, že mi to...
Teraz čo ešte?
Už budeme mať predáme prestávku a potom budeme to vyhodnotenie. A to musíme aspoň na poločku. Že bude povedať.
Toto mám nechať, kto povie zastaje. 2 prestávka.
Budeme posielať tie flashkarty. Aj ten obraz. Nevadí, že tak rýchlo urobíme. Ale teraz ako ten výsledok.
Či to tu ešte nie tam veľmi verné čítam. Mám sa čo ešte na to nemyšľam.
Ja som myslela, že kartovka už
bola na začiatku, ale...
tak už nebudeme sa asi vrácať.
To je
Ale kliká to tam.
Nemáš to. Ešte asi nedarúvam.
So we have the first 3 first people who did it. Your score and times are really great. So we're waiting for the other ones. I hope it's not too hard, but not too easy.
Okay, so we will give you 3 or maybe 5 more minutes so you can try it. So the first ranked is Alexander right now, but you can still change it.
There's already 6 of you done with it, so well done. Still waiting for the other ones. So we can see the first 10 places. Congratulations to Sofinki, congratulations to Reza, and congratulations to Alexandra, who occupy the first, second, and the third place. Your time and scores are really good. If you haven't finished it, you can still do it, or if you had some technical difficulties, the link will forever be there, so you can look at it later. So now we are moving on to the break, 30 minutes, okay? So see you in 30 minutes, that means in Spain, 9:54, in Slovakia, Italy and France, 11:54, and in Romania and Lithuania, 11:54. 10:54.
Tak čo bude teraz u nás je škola? Pôjdete sa vyloftovať, dáte si dole rúško.
Napíšte tam, že 9:55 Spain, 10:55. Pani Jozef to tak hovorila, že to bude napísané.
Či 9:55 Spain?
10:55 SK, tak začneme. SK ide a
Francia. A Romani ešte.
Rom a Litva. Bolo to na Nemecku.
Tak je.
Však oni to pochopili.
Čo neviem, čo sa opájajú. Čo to nás tam pínkať ešte. Daný malý.
Nevadí, tak potom zase budeme pínkať všetkých naspäť.
Ten je úplne stratený. Čo napísal? Hovorí, že teraz bol francúzsky.
Aj u nás mu napíš.
A po slovensku.
Dobre, však choďte si trošku zložiť to, a tak o 54 sa vrátime, aby sme to dokončíme a budete to.
Áno, to je jedno.
Dobre, ďakujem, super ste boli.
Pani profesorka, ja, keby sa dalo, by som rád vyšiel napríklad na 105. hodinu, že keby tu mohol niekto...
To už tu určite nebudeme. Teraz je... A teraz je
štvrtú sa to asi bude už utočili.
Dobre,
je to tu nachystané, tie linky?
Áno, však máme to nachystané. To už aj ja spustím. Dobre. Díky, máte.
Jasne.
Tak ja idem tiež na...
Akurát to nahrávanie bude treba vypnúť zase.
Teraz sme mali dať pauzu, no. Ježiš, jak to je nízko. Už som skoro spadla.
To je stop, ale...
Ako sa povie ohodnotiť? Čo? Ohodnotiť. Rate. Okay. Dočítala, neviem, čo tam je. Let me handle this. Uh-oh, the screenshot. A to je také, že we would encourage you to schedule an appointment with your doctor or child professional. Okay, so I think you already gone through all the words. It wasn't that much. You revised them, and now we are sending you the last link of these 3 days, which is a questionnaire. It's about the activities, whether you liked it, how you rated, and what was your favorite. So it's up there already. Okay, thank you for another correction. Yes, exactly, thank you. This time, what language it is, please? Text us. Ako?
Napísala.
Taliansky? Jaj. So, there's one mistake in Romanian and one in Lithuanian language. So thank you so much for your feedback. And now on to this last activity. So first of all, you have to rate the activities. That's pretty self-explanatory. It's written there. And the Jamboard, I can remind you what were the activities about. The Jamboard was
The arranging the colorful letters, the collage.
photo collage, yeah.
Then the Padlet, we were putting the things on the map. Introduction partners, that's where we were talking about ourselves. Guess the language, that was where we were guessing languages.
Čo bol ten quiz?
quiz. It was little quiz about. Oh yeah, of course. It was the Kahoot quiz and the brainstorming.
For the words we were showing you.
And then the flashcards, that was this revision of the words, and web app was about the Kopčany and Holič and Šaštín, Stráž, I guess. Have you learned anything new? You just be honest, please. If you learned something, you rate how much you learned. How do you rate this virtual mobility? How satisfied you are with the mobility content? Whether you like the activities or were a little boring for you, or maybe too easy for you. And if you have something to add, like overall feedback, whether it was good or you missed more time for the activities, or you wanted us to have less of the presentations and more activities, just let us know so we can improve for next time. So we'll give you some time to put your answers in there, and then just submit your questionnaires so we can see it. So we have already 17 responses. Is the screen shared? Okay.
So these are the responses.
We are sharing the screen so you can look at the responses. For now, 19 people already did it, 20 people already did it.
Thank you.
So we can see how you liked it or didn't like it. So that's good to have some feedback. Okay, that's pretty good. You learned something new. That's good. How much knowledge you need for these activities? You rated not as much, which is, I think, good because you don't have to suffer with translating and you can understand easier and just have more fun. Okay, I didn't expect this, to be honest, to the most responses being 10, because it's virtual and you don't have as much fun as in person, but I'm pleasantly surprised.
Very happy about that.
How satisfied?
This is also very good.
Okay, thank you a lot. Thank you.
Nice, thank you.
Hope you liked all the presentations and the presentators. Hope you liked our teachers who helped organizing all of this, who helped doing the activities and opening all the days we had. Hope you liked us commenting and helping you maybe a bit, and the activities. Hope you learned something. And if you haven't sent the questionnaire yet, you still can. We'll look at the responses later again. Thanks. Povedz, že to vidíte.
Ten dolný stred.
So we hope you will visit Slovakia sometime, and what else? we hope you will like it, and you will visit all the places we were talking about because they are really interesting. So, thank you.
Completed the chapter.
Oh, thank you, Elena, for your feedback. It's probably because we have different keyboards and we can't really write your letters.
We will correct it later. Thank you.
Thanks, you.
See you later, maybe.
Bye.
Alligator.
We hope you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, thank you. Bye. Bye. Oh, thank you. Thanks, no, thank you. So much.